Happy evening to all. I am Vishwanath Esar, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce and Management. Today, I am very happy that today we have a great resource person, Dr. Usha Devi. And Madam, on behalf of Dr. NSAMFGC, I would like to welcome to a national level FDP, Madam.
Thank you. Thank you.
In the same way, I would like to welcome all the participants of different colleges, universities, institutions. And I would like to welcome Professor Raghavendra R., Principal of our college, Dr. Shanti Iyer, Advisor, Professor Bhavya K.R., IKAC Coordinator and Head of the Department of Commerce and Management, and all the HODs and my dear colleagues from our college. In connection with yesterday's session done by Dr. Manjunath K.R. from Kuwempu University has given very informative session on statistical tools for data analysis. In connection with that, I would like to say a few words about yesterday's session. Statistical methods involved in carrying out a study, which includes planning, designing, collecting data, analyzing, drawing meaningful interpretation, and reporting of the research findings. The statistical analysis gives meaning to the meaningless numbers, thereby breathing life into a lifeless data. The results and inferences are precise only if proper statistical tests are used. The basic research tools that are utilized while conducting various studies. Respected Dr. Manjunath sir covered a brief outline of the variables and understanding of quantitative and qualitative variables and the measures of central tendency. This is what the precisely I have explained today. Today we have a great personality. Madam, I am very happy. I am feeling very proud to introduce to our participant. Great eminent person, income tax. We have been teaching, especially myself, I have been teaching for the last 14 years continuously income tax because of Dr. Usha Devi, and the way she made it simplified is legendary. So now I am very happy to introduce today's resource person, Dr. Usha Devi. Dr. Usha Devi is working as Associate Professor, Department of Commerce, Vivekananda Degree College, Bengaluru at presently. Earlier, Madam was working as Associate Professor, Department of Commerce, MLA, FGCW, Bengaluru. I am very happy to introduce Madam's achievements. Dr. Usha Devi currently working as Associate Professor, that is a Vivekananda Degree College, Bengaluru. She has 32 years of teaching experience and specialized in human resource management and taxation. She obtained her PhD from Bengaluru University in 2002. She has written extensively and given talks on TQM, research methodology, taxation, and social issues like gender discrimination, high donation, and water resource management. She is the member of BOS in Bangalore, Central University, and also in the 3 autonomous colleges in Bangalore. She has successfully guided 15 MPhil students and 3 PhD students, and currently she is guiding 6 PhD students. She has presented papers in national and international conferences and won many best paper presentation awards. She is appointed as the member of editorial committee by IJS USA. She was invited to the chair the technical session in an international conference organized by AHRD China in 2010, Harvard University, USA in 2011, Global Research Association, Switzerland in 2015, and as a resource person for the workshop on Edu Hub in Asia, organized by Korea University, Korea in 2014. She is an active member of Bharati Siksha Mandal, National HRD Network, MTC Global, and Seva Bharati. She is recognized with prestigious MTC Global Award for Outstanding Management Teacher Award in 2012. She is also facilitated by ABVP Karnataka for her outstanding services in the field of commerce education. Like this, really, we can say wonderful about Dr. Usha Devi, madam. Really, madam, we are very happy. So really, we proud. So thank you so much for accepting invitation. Over to you, madam. Over to you, madam. You can carry on. Thank you so much.
So now permit me to switch off the camera. It is troubling me. The background is troubling me.
Disturbing you, madam?
Yeah.
It's okay, madam. No problem. Carry on.
Okay, thank you. Good evening to all my intellectual teachers and friends. It is my humble duty to express my gratitude to Dr. Shanti Iyer, advisor, Dr. Raghavendra, principal, Dr. Vishwanath, program coordinator, and other stakeholders of NITE College for giving me this wonderful opportunity, which I consider as a temple of learning. Now, let me come to the points. And next slide, sir. Next slide. And next slide, sir. Move to the next slide, sir. Yeah. The topic given to me is art of writing a research paper for Scopus and UGC Careless journals. With regard to this, I would like to share a few tips. The first one, please go through UGC Careless website, which is maintained by Pune University. In that website, you find Group 1 and Group 2 journals. Apart from this, cloned journal list, that is, fake journal list is also given. The second point is, from Group 1 or Group 2, select any journal of your interest. In that journal, select one article and observe author's profile like author's current position, past experience, area of specialization, and also see whether the article published is related to author's specialized area of interest. That is the first homework we need to do. The next one, in the article, see whether the results and conclusions given by the author can be extrapolated to other population or other context. If the answer to these aspects is negative, do not select such type of journal, as such journals may be removed from UGC Care List or Scopus Index journals in the near future. So this is a kind of homework you need to do before selecting a particular journal in which you want to publish. Okay. The next one, coming to the structure of the article, we all know that it should have, I have framed a code for structure of the article, which goes like this: tab L mad R, where T stands for topic, A stands for abstract, B stands for background of the study, L stands for literature review, followed by statement of the problem, objectives of the study, hypothesis, scope of the study. Next, M stands for methodology. Again, A stands for analysis of data. D stands for discussion, followed by implications of the study. And finally, R stands for reference. And this should be the structure of the article. Next, sir. Coming to the first component, that is how to select a research topic. The experts say that we don't have any kind of theoretical guidelines. It's only opinion of experts. Now, what is that? Students should select the topic in the area of their specialization. For instance, if the student is specialized in the area of finance, it is better that student selects research topic in the area of financial management. Then what the student should do? They are required to read at least 10 latest publications relating to their area of interest. As Triveni Madam said, in these journals, at the end of the article, author will explain the scope for further research. Please note down those aspects and have a discussion with the guide. And if required, you can also have a discussion with 3 subject experts. If you do that, identifying the research problem becomes easier. Next, what you should do to avoid duplication, it is better that the student go through research reports published by research institutes like ICSSR, Indian Council for Social Science Research, Tata Institute of Social Science, Indian Institute of Science, or Indian Institute of Management, and find out what kind of research work already done in their area of specialization. If you do this, duplication of the work can be avoided. The next point, the number of words used in the research topic should not exceed 12 words. It should be limited to 8 to 12 words. Again, avoid using abbreviations in the research topic. And this research topic should be written in the form of questions or statements. For example, you can see on the slide, does happiness impact academic achievement of students? This topic has 11 words and it is in the form of question. Therefore, it is acceptable. On the other hand, again, see the second one. How the title is given here. Happiness leads to academic achievement. Such kind of title is not acceptable. Why? Because it is highlighting the outcome of the study. And again, the abbreviations are used in the title. Therefore, it is not acceptable. So next slide, sir. So my dear friends, when we read research-based articles, we come across certain words like concepts, constructs, dimensions, variables, factors, items, and statements. Let me explain the meaning of these words. The reason is, when I started my research work, I had big confusion with regard to the meaning of these words. So I thought, let me share the meaning of these concepts so that you will not suffer like me. Okay. Now, let me take example. If my specialized area of interest is human resource development, then human resource development can be considered as concept. If I use the same concept for the purpose of my study, it becomes construct. If values are assigned to such constructs, it becomes variable. For example, if my research topic is impact of human resource practices on business performance, if that is the topic, HRP, human resource practices and business performance, should be considered as constructs, because these two constructs are measurable. Because it is measurable, you can also call constructs as variables. Then, to measure human resource practices, I need to identify the factors. The other name for factors is dimensions. For instance, to measure human resource practices, I used the factors like training and development, recruitment and selection, performance appraisal, etc. For each dimension, I may include 4 to 5 questions. These questions may be called as items or statements. So this is the meaning of these statements. Next slide, sir. Now, let us learn how to formulate a research topic if there is mediating variable. In case of mediating variable, the theoretical model looks like triangle. You can see on the slide, where independent variable will be shown on the left side, dependent variable will be shown on the right side, and on the top of the model, mediating variable will be shown. Now let me explain mediating variable with example. Let us take HRP as independent variable, business performance as dependent variable, and knowledge management as mediating variable. Theory says that HRP, that is independent variable, can contribute to business performance, that is dependent variable, only through mediating variable, that is knowledge management. I repeat again, HR practices will influence business performance only through knowledge management, that is mediating variable. If we use mediating variable, how the topic will be formulated? Look at this slide. I just read that. If you are using 3 variables in our topic, the research topic can be titled like this: the mediating impact of knowledge management on the relationship between HR practices and business performance. This is how the title should be coined if 3 variables or constructs are used in the study. So next slide. If we use 4 constructs, that is mediating variable, moderating variable, apart from independent and dependent variable, how we are going to formulate the topic? Just look at this slide. If I'm using 4 constructs, how to formulate the topic? The mediating impact of knowledge management and moderating role of leadership on the relationship between HR practices and perceived business performance. This is how the title should be coined if 4 variables are used in the study. Now, what is this moderating variable? It is nothing but it will change the relationship between independent variable and dependent variable. The change can be either positive or negative. Okay, so next slide, sir. The next component is abstract. We all know that abstract is the summary of the article which we write in the beginning. Experts say that the number of words used to write abstract should be between 200 to 300 words, and at least 4 keywords should be written at the end of the abstract. Now the question is how to write the abstract. Let me explain this with the help of an example. Next slide, sir. Yeah. Write the purpose of the study in the first para. You need to write the purpose of the study in the first para. For example, author has written the purpose of the study in this way. Now, what is that? The present study examines the impact of happiness on academic achievement of undergraduate students. This is how the purpose should be written. Next, so don't change the next aspect. In the second para, explain research methodology briefly. Now, for instance, the author has written research methodology in this way. Now, how it goes? I just read. The present study falls under cross-sectional research. Which research methodology is used by him is mentioned. Next, the sample of 282 students were drawn from various colleges. After that, he is telling he has used convenient sampling technique and the data is collected through questionnaires. And he also tells that statistical tools like mean, standard deviation, correlation, regression is used. And very important, you need to mention in the abstract itself the measurement scale used. If you have used, you need to mention. Here, the author has used Punnett scale to measure the happiness. So that is mentioned. In the third para, highlight the key findings of the study. In the last para, write the implications of the study. How the author has written the implications? Let me read. The difference in male and female students is due to influence of other personal factors such as relationship with family members, home environment, surroundings, parental support, study habits, and good health. That is the implication. He has given the reason. In the findings, the author could find that there is lot of difference in the level of happiness and academic performance between male and female students. The difference, why it has arisen, that is explained under the heading implications. And this is how the abstract should be written. Okay, so next slide, sir. The keywords and total number of words. Next slide. Here. If the article is submitted for publication, you all know that it will be sent for review. And if the examiner finds positive answer to all the 4 criteria what you are seeing on the slide, then your paper will be accepted for publication. Now, what are those 4 criteria? Number 1, your abstract should not be too short or too long. It should be normal. Second one, examiner will observe whether the abstract what you have written is informative or only indicative or combination of both. Now, what examiner will expect? The abstract should be informative. If it is indicative, chances of rejections are more. The third criteria is the examiner will see whether the information given in the abstract match with the article. There should not be any difference. Then the last one, whether the abstract contains information, any information which is not there in the article. Okay, if it contains information which is not there in the article, the abstract, the paper will be rejected. So the abstract should be the summary of the article what you write. These are the 4 criteria examiner will observe with regard to abstract. If all the 4, for all the 4, the answer is positive, the paper will be accepted. Otherwise, it gets rejected. The next one is background of the study. So you can move to the next slide. Let me explain this with example. First, you should explain the significance of the topic by citing the reference. Here, the example is given. In that example, what the author has done, he has explained the significance of happiness and its impact on later life success of the student. So that work should be done in the first para. Explain the significance of the topic. Next, author should explain the knowledge gap. In this article, what the author has done, he has clearly stated that to measure academic performance, only university examination score is considered by the previous authors. But practically, academic performance of the student is influenced by many social and personal factors. But those aspects are not considered in the previous studies. That is the knowledge gap the author could identify. Now, how is going to fill this gap? That should be written in the third para. Now, how we are going to write? To fill the gap, author tells he has considered both personal and social factors of the student in order to measure the impact of happiness on the academic performance of both male and female students. So this is how the background of the study should be written. Very important para. the flow of the sentence should be very appealing. Only then the examiner will get interest to read the further aspects what you have written down in the article. So move to the next point, sir. Next slide. Now, with regard to background of the study, what the examiner will see, he will see whether the information given in the background of the study is logically presented. Then he will also see the reference or the citations, what you have written in the background of the study match with the list of reference what you write at the end. And finally, you will see whether the need for study is written by the author. If all the conditions are fulfilled, then the paper will be accepted. The next slide, sir. The next aspect is review of literature. As Triveni Madam said, review of literature is a must to formulate research problem, to write research gap, to design conceptual model, to write objectives of the study, and also to write hypothesis. Experts say students should review minimum of 35 articles and 10 reviews should be shown in the article or report. 10 reviews, but minimum 35 they have to read. So next slide. The literature review can be presented in the form of table. In the first column, write the name of the author. Second column, write the year in which article is published. In the third column, write the title and place where the study is undertaken. Fourth column, write methodology used by the author. Fifth column, write significant findings. Sixth column, write the scope for further study. If we do it in this way, writing research gap becomes easier. Now, in this slide, in the first column, the name of the author is written, that is Kamala. Second column, the article is published in 2016. The title and place of study is given in the third column, which goes like this. A study on HR practices in sericulture sector, and the place of the study covered is Karnataka, entire Karnataka. Under research methodology, author should clearly explain 5 aspects, which are those. First, mention about research method used in this study. Here it is mentioned as cross-sectional method. Then primary data is collected from whom? You're going to tell what kind of sampling method used. That should be mentioned. The sample size should be specified. And finally, statistical tools used should be written. These are the things should come under the heading methodology. Findings, only write the key findings. Here, what is written? Sericulture, from the review of literature, the author could find that there is no structured HR practices in the areas of manpower planning and performance appraisal, training and development, and pay and benefits. These are the areas where structured HR practices are not there. So it is a gray area where the action has to be taken immediately. Future research, here the author tells the person who has done this work has collected the data from the top level. Sorry, the data from the employees at the middle or lower level. But actually, HR practices will be designed by the top manager. So the data, what is gathered, may not be that accurate to arrive at valid conclusion. Therefore, he has given a suggestion for would-be researchers. Now, what is that suggestion? You do multi-level data analysis. Means collect the data from the top level, middle level, lower level in order to validate the findings. So what problem occurred when this author did the research work, then that can be avoided if you use multi-level data analysis. That's all. Change the slide, sir. Based on a review of literature only, we have to design conceptual model. And from the title, it is very clear to us, the author is using mediating variable. If you use mediating variable, the conceptual model will look like triangle, where on the left-hand side, you show independent variable, right side, dependent variable, top mediating variable. So this is how the conceptual model should be designed. Next slide. I mentioned earlier that the statement of the problem will be written on the basis of review of literature. In this article, author says that there is no structured HR practices in the areas of manpower planning, training and development, pay and benefits, and performance appraisal. Why there is no structured HR practices? To find out the reason, the present study is undertaken where an effort is made to find the answer to 5 questions. Actually, you find only 4 questions there. One more, I will add it now. The first one, what are the factors affecting HR practices in sericulture sector? What is the level of business performance? Is there any relationship between HR practices and business performance? Whether HRP influences business performance? And one more we can add it because we are using mediating variable. That is whether knowledge management mediates the relationship between HR practices and business performance can be added. So 5 research questions should be written. Why means the most of the universities have made it mandatory that 5 research questions, 5 objectives should be written. So only 4 were there. I added one more. Okay. Change the slide, sir. Okay. While framing the objectives of the study, one point should be kept in mind. That is, see that there is a link between title, statement of the problem, and objectives. For example, if the title of the study is HR practices in sericulture sector, then under the heading statement of the problem, author should write the challenges faced by sericulture sector. Suppose if the author writes the challenges faced by IT sector instead of sericulture sector, then there will be no link between title and statement of the problem. And such kind of research papers will not be accepted for publication. So there should be link between these 3 aspects. That is what I want to convey. Okay, next slide, sir. Friends, by this time we all know the meaning of hypothesis. Anyway, in my words, hypothesis means formulation of possible answers to the specific questions which are measurable and testable. And what are the other aspects we should keep in mind with regard to formulation of hypothesis is, hypothesis should have two variables. It is a must. And it should specify the relationship. For example, HRP has a significant impact on business performance. This statement has two variables, that is human resource practices and business performance. And it also specifies the relationship, that is human resource practice is independent variable, business performance is dependent variable. So there should be two variables, and they should specify the relationship between the two variables. Then what to do? The word impact conveys that two variables used in the statement are measurable. Experts say that hypothesis should be written in the present tense, not in the future or past, in the present tense, and it should be in simple words. This is about hypothesis. Next slide. With regard to scope of the study, in the first para, you can write area and content scope. Area, scope, and content scope. In the second para, you can write the outcome of the study. Now you can see on the slide, in this article, author explains that the study is restricted to retail organization, that is area scope, which is based in Bangalore. That is, which is based in Bangalore is area scope. Restricted to retail. One minute, I made a confusion. Area scope, how the author has written. Author explained the study is restricted to retail organization which are based in Bangalore. That is area scope. Data analysis is restricted to responsibility accounting and its impact on cost control. That is content scope. In the second para, author explains that outcome of the study definitely facilitates the industry or the society or the government to come out with suitable policies that will help them to reduce the cost of production. So this is how the scope of the study should be written. Area scope, next content scope, next the outcome of the study should also be briefed under this heading. Next. Yeah. With regard to review of literature, author will look into, examiner will look into 4 aspects. One is whether secondary references are given in the review of literature, whether primary references are also mentioned, whether the references given are accurate. They are not fake references, they are accurate references. Whether the references mentioned in the review of literature relates to recent publications. These are the things the examiner will look into when your paper is sent for review. If the answer is positive, your paper will be accepted. So next one. Next slide, sir. The next letter is M, that is methodology. We all know that there are 3 types of research methods, namely cross-sectional study, which means one-time study, longitudinal study, which means before after study, and experimental study. In social science, cross-sectional study and longitudinal study are more popular. Sir, change the slide, sir. Now, in the research article, what the author should explain, he should clearly state what type of research method is adopted by him in his study. That is the first thing. Second, he should explain the primary data is collected from whom. And the next one is secondary data is collected from which source. All this should come under the heading methodology. So change the slide, sir. With regard to sampling design, author should define population, explain sample frame, explain sampling method used, and also sample size. For example, if I want to study the number of people affected by coronavirus in Bangalore, okay, post period, then my population for the study will be total number of people residing in Bangalore. Next, the sample frame. What it is? It is a document which consists of active population. Now, if I am studying the number of organizations based in Bangalore, you can look at this side. My sample frame will be Industry Research Report 2018, which clearly states that there are 25,000 retail outlets in Bangalore. So first I should define the population, then I should define my sampling frame, which document I am referring to draw the sample from the population. Some reliable document I need. So that reliable document, we call it as sample frame. Then you should explain the method of sampling used and sample size. Okay. So next slide, sir. Here, under this heading, statistical tools used for analysis, clearly mention what are the tools used. If the student is using secondary data, that is financial data, even the period of data details should be given. And that should come after the statistical tools used for analysis. Next slide, sir. Okay. Now the problem is which statistical tool should be used for a particular type of data. There is a big confusion. So I have a table, I think, which may help many researchers to overcome such kind of confusion. Now what the table says, now let us assume X is independent variable and Y is X is independent variable and Y is dependent variable. X as categorical data. Categorical means you will not get decimals there. I have taken the example of gender. And Y also as categorical data. That is the number of placements happened in the college. If X also categorical, Y also categorical, then you should use chi-square only. If you use chi-square, how you are going to formulate the hypothesis? You can say like this, null hypothesis. There is no association between gender and placement. Gender and placement. Alternative hypothesis, there is a association between gender and placement. This is the first one. Second one, X has categorical data, that is gender. Y has continuous data. And the distribution, what we have is normal distribution. And you are using only two study groups, male and female. I repeat again, X has categorical data, Y is continuous data, the distribution is normal, and you have two study groups only. Then you are going to use t-test. If you use t-test, how you are going to formulate the hypothesis? Look at this slide. There is no significant difference between bank male and female employees with regard to job satisfaction. Null hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis, there is a significant difference between bank male and female employees with regard to job satisfaction. This is how the hypothesis should be written. Suppose if the distribution is non-normal, instead of t-test, you are going to use man-Whitney test. Instead of t-test, man-Whitney test will be used if the distribution is non-normal. That's all. Now, third one, the fourth one, X as categorical variable, Y as continuous variable. The distribution is normal, but I have three study groups. It can be male, female, transgender, or three departments: HR department, marketing department, financial department, so on. So I have three study groups. Then which test you are going to use it? ANOVA test. When ANOVA test is used, how you are going to formulate the hypothesis? Same way how we did for t-test. In the same way, you are going to formulate hypothesis for ANOVA test also. For example, there is no significant difference between departments with regard to job satisfaction. This is null hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis will be there is a significant difference between departments with regard to job satisfaction. Then move to the next slide. If X is continuous, Y also continuous, then you can use correlation statistical tool or regression statistical tool. Okay, then move to the next slide, sir. Limitations are very important. Examiner will particularly look into the limitations of the study written by the student. So how to write? Now at university level and even publisher will expect the student to write at least 4 limitations. Now which are those? The first one you can write like this: due to time and cost constraint, the study is limited to Bangalore city. Something like that you can write. Second one, study includes organized sector only. Unorganized sectors are left out. From this angle, you can write another limitation. Third one, the study focuses mainly on HR practices and its impact on business performance. This study ignores other aspects which may have impact on business performance. Like that, you can write the third one. The fourth one, you can talk about research methodology and statistical tools used has its own limitations, which cannot be controlled by the researcher. Four limitations you should write. Okay, next slide. This is with regard to research methodology, what the examiner will look into. First, he will see whether the research method used is appropriate to the research problem. For example, the topic what you have taken, for that I have to use longitudinal study, but due to cost and time constraint, I go for cross-sectional study. Then totally there is a deviation. If I do that, chances of rejection will be more. The second one, whether the sample size taken for the study is adequate or not, you will see. And finally, we'll see whether there is any sampling error. So these are the three aspects you will look into. If he is satisfied with the answer given by the author, paper will be accepted. Okay, next slide. Next slide, sir. Is time over? Time over?
No, madam. Last 3 minutes, madam.
Yeah. Next slide, sir. Next slide. Change the slide. Okay. You change the slide. Next slide, sir. Next slide. Yeah. Under findings of the study, the first table is sample composition. Here, author should explain the profile of the respondents in the form of graph and text. This should be the first table under analysis of data. Move to the next slide, sir. If the author has developed the questionnaire, then author should do exploratory factor analysis and confirmatory factor analysis. Both should be done if he has developed the questionnaire. On the other hand, if he is already using developed questionnaire, then only confirmatory factor analysis should be used. So change the slide, sir. How to write, interpret the results which arrived at under exploratory factor analysis. The guidelines are given here. I request the organizers to share the PPT with you. You can just go through it. So change the slide, sir. Change the slide. This is confirmatory factor analysis results. How you are going to write? All the values what we have calculated meet the specified requirements. Therefore, this model can be used for further analysis. Something like that you're going to write. The next slide. This is cron back alpha values. For all the dimensions, you need to calculate alpha values, and it should be more than 0.70. Only then you can take your data for further analysis. Okay, next slide. This is the first table. First table for the first objective of the study, where we have calculated mean values, standard deviation, and t values, and interpreted the data. Okay, just move to the next slide, sir. This is correlation table, where the first bullet should be, you should tell how many dimensions have positive relationship, how many have negative relationship. Second, how many have high relationship with the dependent variable, how many have low relationship with dependent variable. These are the criteria you should keep in mind and interpret the data for correlation table. The next one. Here, the first bullet for this table, regression table, you're going to tell to measure the influence of independent variable on dependent variable, you need to use regression analysis. Then mention what is your F value and R squared value. And finally tell what is the impact of HR practices on business performance. Here the impact is 44.3%. What does it indicate? For 100% enhancement in HR practices, the business performance has improved by 44%, not 100. There is a gap of 60%. Why? Why that has happened? It has happened because there may be other dimensions which is not considered in your study. So you tell the future researcher to identify those factors and take it in your study. Okay, the next one, sir. Now, with regard to analysis, the examiner will see whether the tables and graphs are properly numbered and titled. Though it is seemed to be very easy, you find a lot of mistakes here. Whether the table has both descriptive and inferential data, then whether the information is properly aligned, whether the information given in the table matches with the text. These aspects will be looked into by the examiner with regard to analysis of data. Next slide. Yeah, under discussion, mainly the examiner will see whether the interpretation what you have done matches with the objectives of the study, and whether you have given adequate explanation. These are the two you will see. If those two are there, paper will be accepted. Next slide. Under implications, you should write how the outcome of your study adds value to the existing literature. You have you got the result. In what way your research result will add value to the existing literature. So in one of my study, I said the business performance can be improved if equal importance is given to knowledge management and HR practices. Nobody said that before I arrived at this conclusion. So I added that point under this heading, theoretical implication. Equal importance should be given to knowledge management and HR practices to improve the business performance. That is the value addition I could make to the existing literature. Methodological implication, you should tell the method adopted by you validates the research findings. Just now I took one example, longitudinal study and cross-sectional study. The same thing can be used, taken as the example. Practical implication, whether the outcome of your study contributes something to the society, something to the industry, something to the researcher. That should be explained under practical implications. Okay, next one. This reference APA format I followed. I think you all know how to write this. Okay, the next slide, sir. Over. Completed. I managed to complete.
Thank you. Thank you so much, madam. Really, it's very interesting. Wonderful presentation. Already feedback which is sent in Zoom chat box only. Madam, really, I think today all the participants have enjoyed. Anyway, If any questions you have, anybody else, please, you can ask us. Madam will explain. If you have any questions, put it in the chat box so that we can see. Or if you are in the remote area, that is in the silent area, you can switch on the mic, then you can ask directly so that easily madam can answer questions. I think no questions. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening to all.
1 minute, one question came, sir.
Yes, madam. Yes. How to? Yes, direct you can ask. You can unmute if you are in remote area, please. It means
I will switch on the camera now. Yeah.
please you can ask. You can ask.
No.
Kindly ask
There was one
questions.
question.
Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
I am Nagajyoti from Tirunelveli, Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
Okay. Shall I ask question, ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, how to frame questions? While framing questions, it relates to that is the objectives and the analysis and the finding. Whether I ask the framing of 5 questions, how we can sequence order. Whether to
how to frame research questions is your question.
yeah, sir.
Yeah, I think we do it based on review of literature. Based on review of literature only, we can formulate research questions. And keeping research questions as the base, we formulate objectives. Keeping objectives as the base, we write hypothesis. So review
Yes,
of
ma'am.
literature is the foundation.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, any other questions, please? But questions should be precise, kindly. Okay, fine. So definitely,
Vishwan,
madam.
I think there is a question in chat box. You can check that. Hello, Vishwanath.
Yes.
Madam.
Hello. I think,
madam,
Vishwanath, there
we
is a
can hear you,
question
madam.
in chat box by somebody by
Yes.
name you.
Yes, madam.
Please check that.
Question, huh?
How to frame research?
Question is over, no? I answered.
That question is over. Any other questions?
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah, good evening. This is Yuvraj. It was a good session. I just have one more last question.
Yes.
For example, if we have 5 research objectives, is it necessary that we should have 5 hypotheses, or can we have more than 5 hypotheses?
Not necessarily. Based on the purpose of the study, author should decide how many hypotheses he can have. It need not, for each objective, there's no stipulation that we need to formulate hypothesis. If required, you formulate, otherwise not required. You can have more
Thank
than
you, ma'am.
5 also. For one objective, you can have 3 or 4 hypotheses.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other questions, please? No? Yes. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Madam, really we enjoyed your session. It was wonderful session. So really all the participants were really enjoyed, I think. I also enjoyed all the slides, whatever maybe you presented. Wonderful, madam. If you see the slides, easily we can understand the concept. So thank you so much, madam. It was
Thank you.
wonderful session. Really, we enjoyed. And anyway, we have come to the end of this session. So this is the time to say vote of thanks.
Okay.
On behalf of Dr. NSM First Year College, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the resource person of today's session, Dr. Usha Devi Yan, madam. Madam, thank you so much.
So, thank you once again to all the organizers and all the
And
participants for active listening. So thank you very much. God bless you. Have a nice day.
yes, thank you so much for accepting our invitation and sharing our valuable knowledge with all of us. Thank you so much, madam. My sincere thanks to all the participants for joining with us for day 4 session. We are looking forward for the same participation from all in 5 days session. Thank you all once again. Have a great evening and see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Thank you, one and all. Thank you so much, madam. I'll remain.
Thank you. I can leave, no, sir?
Yes, madam, you can lead.
Okay.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Take care.